You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Live at 4.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We begin today with a developing story. Right now, a former dean of students at Prairie West High School is charged with 15 child sex crimes.
We're learning more about how staff responded to Robert Gilkey-Messigeier's charges that took place at Prairie West.
That information released last night in an independent investigation, and our Tanisha Shaw spoke with someone mentioned in the report, and she joins us now with more. Tanisha?
Hi, Susan and Brady. This investigation is more than 20 pages long. I spoke exclusively to a parent of a student highlighted in this investigation right here. The report says that a student was suspended for spreading a rumor that Gilkey-Messigier was inappropriately involved with other students, crimes which he ultimately was charged with. According to the report, in November 2024, Tommy Bell's then 16-year-old daughter was in school when she, quote, loudly said that the former dean of students at West High School had an inappropriate relationship with a student. The former principals at West decided that they should suspend that student, who did not want to be named, for 2 days. The student's dad told staff members in 2024 that they were making a mistake.
That hurt as well, just because the adults in the school district are supposed to be there for our children and protect our kids, and it just seems like they failed to do that for her.
And there is a lot more to break down with this report. I will have more on this 20-plus page investigation tonight at 5 and 6.
We'll see you then. Thank you, Tanisha. Federal officials in Minneapolis say an ICE agent shot and killed a woman there today. A 37-year-old woman was shot and killed in her car by an ICE officer this morning in Minneapolis, according to federal officials and eyewitnesses. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said agents were acting in self-defense after their vehicle was stuck in the snow. However, witnesses say their video evidence contradicts Secretary Noem's statement. We'll have more on this developing situation in just a few minutes.
But now let's turn to the weather. Foggy today, but sunny this afternoon, and temperatures stayed mild. Meteorologist Jacob Montesano is here with the forecast. Jacob?
Thanks, Susan. We did see those foggy conditions lift earlier today, and that has allowed the sun to come out, and the temperatures for some areas have really warmed up. Now, we're still in the upper 30s for Madison, but 42 in Sauk City, and those areas that have been seeing the sunshine a little bit earlier, just to the west and northwest, temperatures are in the lower 40s. So it is a pretty nice evening out there, and we're not expecting clouds to move back into the area until much later in the night. But even with the clear skies throughout this evening, we aren't going to see the temperatures fall all that much. We're going to have lows in the middle 30s, which is pretty easily higher than the average high for this time of the year. Now, for tomorrow, temperatures are going to be mild, but we are going to see that rain move in the afternoon. The morning will feature cloudy skies, but no rainfall, with temperatures peaking in the middle 40s. But this is only the first of two systems that's expected to end the week. We have another system that's going to move through our area over the weekend, specifically on Saturday, and that system will produce mostly snowfall, and we have the alert day in the forecast for it. So I'll talk more in detail about both of these systems coming up a bit later.
Thank you, Jacob. In Middleton, portions of Century Avenue are open again after a water main break this morning. The break happened at Century Avenue and Branch Street, closing eastbound lanes. Well, that warm and rainy weather Jacob was talking about already has the attention of our local farmers.
How does the unplanned heat and lack of snow affect farmers in our area who prepared for a very cold winter? Our Nash Dara is here with the story. Nash?
Susan and Brady, with snowfall comes insulation for farming and harvesting. And outside right now, there is little to no snow. Although there are practices to reduce winter harms such as snow retention, fertilization, and soil drainage, nothing is for certain. Recent fluctuating weather has stirred question of if this heat wave and added precipitation will affect crops heading into the spring.
We're not technically in a state of drought, but we are definitely on the low end of moisture. We knew that going into winter that we were a little hopeful, which sounds weird for farmers to say, hopeful for snow, but moisture is moisture. And so we'll take it in whatever form that comes in, whether it's rain early on, snow during the middle, or rain at the end. So just so that it can be absorbed.
A downside to a hopeful cold front is if we get another cold stretch of days here in the coming weeks, the excess moisture that remains on the soil can freeze over. That layer of ice can damage crops, as it is not a good insulator like snow. Schultz also shared to me that one of their rules as farmers is to leave their soil and environment in a better condition than they had received it. With this comes finding beneficial solutions and practices, not only for this year, but for the next generation.
Nash, thank you. The federal government will start garnishing wages of those who are in default on repaying federal student loans. The garnishments will come through paycheck deductions of up to 15% of after-tax income. The groups affected by this change are small now, but notifications will go to borrowers in progressively larger groups. Borrowers are considered in default after failing to make repayments and restore a loan to good standing after a period of 270 days or nearly 9 months. Once in default, the entire remaining balance becomes due immediately. So here's some advice if you are in this situation. The department must send borrowers a 30-day notice before garnishing wages, and the notices cover how you can address the loan and seek a hearing to dispute garnishments. If you are not in default but delinquent, there are several income-driven repayment plans available, including income-based repayment, income contingent repayment, and pay-as-you-earn. Experts say those plans require much smaller payments.
The DeForest Board did not pass a petition signed by thousands of voters at last night's meeting. That petition would have required any development of land larger than 30 acres or costing residents more than $10 million to go to referendum. This as debate grows over a proposed 1,700-acre QTS data center. Some union workers in DeForest say a data center would give them more jobs.
I think we're all entitled to our own opinions, and I think instead of being all up in arms about it, do a little research, educate yourself a little bit about it, and realize the big picture, of the work, the infrastructure behind it all, and the families that it's going to provide for.
Meanwhile, in Janesville, a group handed their petition to City Hall signed by 4,500 people. They're asking that any development project at the publicly owned former General Motors plant site go to referendum. It is the most recent pushback after protests outside City Hall in the fall.
In our economic development, it's going to have a huge impact. And that's something, according to our city manager, this is one of the largest decisions that's ever been made for our city. And I think if that's the case, then our community should have a say in how that goes.
At the Capitol, state lawmakers in support of these data centers are proposing regulations to tide concerns. The bill would require the Public Service Commission to ensure that no other customers would see the costs of construction in utility bills. Well, coming up next on Live at 4, the federal government has released new guidelines when it comes to recommended diets, what you'll find on the new food pyramid. And we're diving deeper into a developing story out of Minneapolis, where a woman was shot and killed by an ICE agent, how the local and federal authorities are offering differing stories. And then the U.S. military is continuing operations in the Caribbean against Venezuelan oil tankers. Meanwhile, questions swirl around President Trump's renewed statements about acquiring Greenland. Plus, rain and snow are in our forecast with alert day conditions on the way, when those conditions will move into our area.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Families of drunk driving victims and other advocates gathered at the state capitol this afternoon. They attended a hearing with lawmakers to fight for stronger laws to prevent repeat OWI offenses. Eric Franke is here with more. Eric?
Susan and Brady, those attending the hearing, those attending the specifically to urge lawmakers to pass Assembly Bill 258. Now, the legislation would strengthen the state's ignition interlock device. Those devices are breath alcohol testing devices installed in a vehicle that would prevent it from starting if the driver has been drinking. The bill would allow faster installation of ignition interlocks in cars for repeat and first offenders. Ronald and Janelle Thomas of Wausau lost their 18-year-old daughter, Caitlin, back in 2021, hit and killed by a wrong-way drunk driver on the interstate just 2 weeks after graduating from high school.
She was all set to go to UW Stout in fashion marketing. She was very creative. She was outgoing, a people person.
Last year, the Centers for Disease Control found a 70% reduction in drunk driving thanks to the use of IIDs.
Now, according to the DOT, impaired driving incidents continue to rise in Wisconsin. The latest data shows there were over 7,000 alcohol-related crashes in 2024 and 583 alcohol-impaired driving deaths. Now, under the bill, some people convicted of a second or subsequent reckless driving violation would be required to have speed limiters installed in their cars. The bill would also increase the penalties for tampering with an IID. Senator Weingart says there is bipartisan support for this measure. We'll continue to follow it as it makes its way through the legislature. Susan?
Eric, thank you. In the 608, it's almost time to put your knowledge to the test for a very good cause.
Should we start a team?
Yes.
Josh Sprider is looking ahead to the annual Andy North Trivia Night.
Andy North Trivia Night makes its return to Madison later this month, and I'm once again excited to be part of the big night as an MC, as the community comes together to have fun and give back. Every year, it's hosted by professional golfer and cancer survivor Andy North. The event goes beyond trivia with an exciting lineup that includes a silent auction, celebrity appearances, dinner, drinks, and prizes. Andy North has long been a champion for cancer research, using his platform to make a difference in the fight against the disease. This event continues to grow with record-breaking numbers year after year, all supporting the UW Carbone Cancer Center. Here's what you need to know. Andy North Trivia Night is set for Thursday, January 29th. Doors open at 5:30. The event itself starts at 7. Community members are invited to grab a team, show off their smarts, and enjoy a night out at one of Madison's premier venues. For ticket information, or if you'd like to sponsor the event, just visit the story on channel3000.com. Again, I will be there, so get your ticket, come out and say hi, and make a difference. In the 608, I'm Josh Sprider.
And you can also watch Josh every morning at noon right here on News 3 Now.
Now let's head over to the Weather Center. Jacob is watching the forecast. Cloudy and foggy, but then it was nice to see the sun this afternoon.
Yeah, enjoy the sun because we're not going to see a lot of it the next couple of days. We'll see 40s tomorrow again, but we are going to see plenty of cloud cover early with the rain developing later. That will continue for Thursday night. And then once we get to Saturday, a second system will move through our region that could bring some of that accumulating snow. But let's start with the rain tomorrow. Again, we are going to continue to see clear skies for the next couple of hours, partly to mostly clear skies, with the cloudy skies developing later in the night into Thursday morning. Most of the morning will be dry but cloudy. Then we get closer to noon, and that rain will begin to move into our area. And especially in the later afternoon hours, a lot of the region will see rain, and the rain could be heavy with a few isolated thunderstorms possible. Now, this is especially going to be the case through the late afternoon and early evening. Not quite as heavy once we get later into the overnight hours, still on the heavier side further north and northwest. Then as we get towards the later overnight hours, we're still going to see some rain. It's not going to be as heavy as it will be during the afternoon or evening tomorrow. And then later in the night, some of that rain will transition to snow for areas further to the north and northwest. And we could see some of that snow across Madison, but the best chance of snow will be for areas northwest. But we're still not really going to see much of any accumulation, maybe an inch at most, but it mostly will be pretty wet snow. And that's going to be for areas far off to the north and northwest. Then as we get to, or before I talk about the next system, I do want to mention that with the amount of rain that we're going to see, it could be pretty heavy. Could be seeing over an inch of precipitation for a lot of the region. So this is not necessarily typical for our area this time of the year to see the rain at the pace that we could be seeing it tomorrow. Now we're not too concerned about any flooding risks, but with some of this, because a lot of the snow is kind of already melted, but just be aware that we are going to see definitely a decent amount of rainfall with that. Then the next system rolls in where we are going to see the potential for some accumulating snow. This will be Saturday into Saturday night. It doesn't look like we're going to see a massive amount of snow, but we're still expecting around 1 to 3 inches of snow with some areas, especially areas off to the north, probably going to see just a little bit more. So looking at the timing of this will move in late Friday night into Saturday, and then throughout the day Saturday, the chance of snow will be there, although it doesn't look like it's going to snow nonstop. Could maybe still see some of those flurries throughout the day and then into Saturday night as well. But as far as snowfall accumulation, there's still a lot of uncertainty. But for right now, we are expecting only about 1 to 3 inches. But areas off to the north, especially across central Wisconsin, could see a bit more. Then as we get towards Sunday morning, those flurries will clear out of the region. And looking at the full 10-day forecast, temperatures will drop just a little bit following that system. But we still are going to see temperatures not that cold by any means. Highs will only drop into the upper 20s, then rise back into the upper 30s for Monday, Tuesday, with those temperatures dropping back down towards the end of the 10-day forecast.
Thank you, Jacob. Coming up on Live at 4, a woman led police in Monona on a 100-mile-per-hour chase. What police say she did after officers pulled her over.
And then, did you notice that your bus was a little behind schedule the past few days? We'll take a look at delays with the Madison Metro's transit system.
And Wisconsin is struggling to find foster families. We're looking at if state payments are keeping up.
And scamming is a billion-dollar industry that sticks around all year. We have some tips to keep you and your accounts safe from fraudsters.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
The numbers on Wall Street are split today. The Dow is down 466 points. The Nasdaq is up 37. The S&P 500 lost roughly 24.
Health and Human Services is unveiling a new food pyramid, and the new one is inverted. The widest part of the pyramid on top lists fruits and vegetables along with protein, dairy, and healthy fats. Some experts argue that people should eat less red meat and dairy than the pyramid implies, but others praise the guide. The associated guidance ups the daily protein recommendation for many people based on body weight. And at the bottom of the new pyramid are whole grains. HHS suggests consuming less alcohol, sugar, and ultra-processed foods.
A story we've been watching. Federal officials say an ICE agent killed a woman in Minneapolis today.
The details are still coming out, but the incident quickly led to protests in the area. CBS's Nicole Skenga is in Minneapolis with the latest.
A 37-year-old woman was shot and killed in her car by an ICE officer Wednesday morning in Minneapolis, according to federal officials and eyewitnesses. ICE agents were in the neighborhood for an enforcement operation, and residents were honking horns and blowing whistles.
There was a red SUV parked right in front of our house.
Aiden and Grace Perzana say they saw the entire scene from their home and that several officers surrounded the SUV.
A third person in also camouflage fatigues came and started pulling on the driver's side door handle, at which point the vehicle backed up a few feet and started driving forward. The agent who was on the driver's side originally, who was not pulling on the handle but had been there prior to that, shot 2 or 3 times through the driver's side window. The car drove a 30-40 feet and crashed into another car in the telephone pole.
It was an act of domestic terrorism.
Speaking in Texas, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said agents were acting in self-defense after their vehicle was stuck in the snow.
They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle.
The shooting quickly sparked protests and outrage. Just this week, the Trump administration launched its biggest crackdown on illegal immigration, sending about 2,000 agents into the Twin Cities. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry.
What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust.
He demanded ICE leave the city and urged residents to remain calm. Nicole Skenga, CBS News, Minneapolis.
The FBI is investigating the shooting. It happened about a mile from where George Floyd was killed by police in 2020.
Nick Reiner's arraignment on charges that he killed his parents was delayed today after his lawyer withdrew from the case. The 32-year-old was in a Los Angeles courtroom where he was expected to enter a plea to charges that he fatally stabbed film director Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner. After his high-profile attorney stepped down, a public defender took over and asked the court to move the arraignment to next month. The Reiners were found dead in their home last month. Nick Reiner faces 2 counts of first-degree murder.
This morning, I had to withdraw as Nick Reiner's counsel. Circumstances beyond our control, but more importantly, circumstances beyond Nick's control, have dictated that, sadly, it's made it impossible for us to continue our representation of Nick.
If convicted, Nick Reiner would face life in prison without parole or the death penalty. prosecutors have not decided whether to seek the death penalty in this case. The arraignment hearing is now set for February 23rd.
The U.S. military seized 2 Venezuela-linked oil tankers in separate actions today.
It comes the same day Trump administration officials briefed lawmakers on the capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. Erica Brown has the latest from Capitol Hill.
New Pentagon video shows U.S. forces seizing another oil tanker in the Caribbean Wednesday. And in the North Atlantic, the U.S. also took control of an oil tanker formerly known as Bella. The White House says both were linked to Venezuela.
The oil blockade, the quarantine of oil out of unsanctioned or stateless vessels continues.
The Trump administration says the seizures give the U.S. leverage over the interim authorities in Venezuela following the capture of ousted leader Nicolas Maduro.
They understand that the only way they can move oil and generate revenue and not have economic collapse is if they cooperate and work with the United States.
President Trump announced Tuesday that Venezuela will be turning over between 30 to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil to the U.S. to sell, with proceeds benefiting both Venezuela and the U.S. President Trump is planning to meet with U.S. oil executives this week to discuss investments in Venezuela, but some Democratic lawmakers have criticized those plans.
The oil companies are understandably very reluctant to undertake major investments when the risks are so high.
The administration is also doubling down on its push to control Greenland and has not ruled out using military force, but says President Trump prefers diplomacy.
That's something that's currently being actively discussed by the president and his national security team.
Greenland is a territory of Denmark, a NATO ally. The administration's rhetoric sparked a strong rebuke within the GOP.
I'm sick of stupid. I want good advice for this president, and this nonsense on what's going on with Greenland is a distraction.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he plans to speak with the leaders of both Greenland and Denmark next week. Erica Brown at CBS News, Capitol Hill.
On Monday, the Danish Prime Minister said a U.S. takeover of NATO territory would effectively mean the end of the alliance.
Well, coming up on Live at 4, the Packers are putting it all on the line for their playoff game against the Bears this weekend. Our Packers senior writer has an inside look.
And then there's some bus routes that are running reduced service in Madison, which lines are affected, and the reasons why.
And then it's been a year since the devastating fires in California. We'll hear about the community as they work to rebuild.
And Jacob is back with another check of the first warn forecast. Rain, snow, and a wintry mix are possible in the next few days.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Welcome back to Live at 4, everybody. On this Wednesday afternoon, the sun is just starting to set now.
Yeah.
It's getting a little later
We
every
like
day.
that. Yeah, and the weather has been pretty good on this first full week of 2026, but big changes are coming. The weather words are busy end to the week. This is the Pleasant View Road area. Like Susan was saying, it looks pretty nice out there and love seeing that light. Jacob is here with the first warn forecast. What are we looking at for the rest of the week?
Well, we're looking at 2 systems that will move through our area, one bringing rain, one bringing snow. But before that, it's a pretty pleasant evening out there. Here's a live look from Dodgeville showing almost no clouds in the sky there. A few clouds for areas around Dane County and places to the east. But temperatures continue to be very comfortable. Right now, a lot of Dane County in the upper 30s, but other parts of the county are in the lower 40s. And the areas a little bit off to the west that have seen a little bit more sunshine earlier in the day have seen those temperatures warm into the 40s. And they're not really going to drop too much overnight. Now, they're going to drop a little bit, but we're only talking about lows in the middle to lower 30s. These lows are going to be warmer than the average high for this time of year. And although tomorrow will also be mild, we'll see the clouds move in and then the rain a little bit later in the day. So early in the day, it's going to be cloudy, but then we see that rain move in. Temperatures at least will be on the milder side, but some of that rain in the afternoon could actually be pretty heavy. But this actually isn't what we have the alert day for. That's for the second system that's going to enter our area by the time we get to the end of the week on Saturday. This system could produce some snowfall accumulation. Still very unclear how much snow that we're gonna see from this system, but I'll talk more about this and that rainfall tomorrow, all coming up a bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. you. Madison Metro Transit is reducing service at some routes due to issues with some of its fleets.
And this will increase wait times at some stops in the area. News 3 Now's Jalen Banks joins us live now from one of the impacted stops. Jalen, what is the latest at this time?
Brady and Susan, Metro Transit announced that it will be reducing its services to routes A1 and B. And Metro says this is due to scheduled maintenance and mandatory inspections along with unexpected fleet repairs. And that has caused a temporary shortage of its buses. Now for the routes impacted, service times will go from 15 minutes to 30 minutes due to that shortage. I caught up with one bus rider who's concerned about waiting during this time of the year.
I think it would be more so when it is colder. Like last week it was pretty cold. And I was taking bus D to go take care of someone's cat, and missing the bus by 15 minutes could mean like another half an hour wait. And in the cold, that's not good.
Now, this is just the latest in the challenges Metro Transit has faced. A near $6 million budget shortfall forced the city to more than double its transit subsidy and implement emergency spending restrictions last year. Fare revenue fell short of projections while salary and benefit costs increased following a new contract with the union representing bus drivers, as well as operational costs exceeding expectations as well. However, as of fall of last year, Metro Transit is under new leadership. Now tonight at 6, we'll hear from more bus riders as far as how these new wait times have impacted them. But for now, I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio. Reporting live from Madison's west side, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Jalen. In Monona, police arrested a woman this morning after a high-speed chase. Officers are also accusing her of smoking crack cocaine from a pipe after they stopped her. Officers tried to stop the car at about 2 this morning on the Beltline after reports it was driving without headlights, could not stay in its lane, and was going more than 100 miles per hour. Police worked with State Patrol to deploy spike strips, popping 3 tires, but it took 2 pit maneuvers to fully stop the vehicle. Police say the 46-year-old Mazomanie woman initially refused to exit the vehicle and smoked from a drug pipe. Officers dragged her out of the vehicle and arrested her. She was not injured and is facing multiple felony charges.
The community of Stoughton is beginning the search for its next chief of police. Current chief Daniel Jenks will retire February 6th, prompting the city to open applications for the position. City officials say they're seeking an experienced leader to oversee department operations, public safety, and community policing efforts. The position offers a starting salary between $105,000 and $135,000. Applications are now open online with a deadline of January 21st.
Counties across Wisconsin are struggling recruiting and retaining foster families, but a new monthly payment increase could help, according to the Wisconsin Legislative Fiscal Bureau.
Political reporter Ellie LaLiberte is here in the studio with us. And Ellie, what does that increase look like for foster families?
Well, Susan, Brady, the governor originally requested an increase of 5%, but the final amount in the state budget ended up being only half of that. Now, for those fostering children up to 5 years old, the rate went up from $441 to $452 a month. For those fostering ages from 5 to 11, it went from $483 to $495 a month. Now, according to the State Department of Children and Families, Wisconsin has traditionally been one of the lower foster care payment rates in the country. But the Wisconsin DCF says every little bit helps.
The cost of raising a child has significantly gone up, and our rates necessarily haven't met that need. And so that rate really helps support that foster parent or those relative caregivers who didn't expect to have this child, are now taking this child out of love and support to help raise that child, hopefully get that child back with their parents. But based on that, they really need that economic support because it's something they did not necessarily have in their budget.
Now, in December, Governor Tony Evers approved a new administrative rule designed to help improve the state's foster care system. Relatives fostering children can get additional financial support if they get licensed, but there's been barriers for that licensing in the past. But now DCF says the red tape that was there has been removed, allowing those individuals to be on the same economic support level as a licensed foster parent.
Thank you, Ellie. Okay, hope everyone has their green and gold ready because the Packers are looking at a healthy roster going into their playoff game against the Bears this weekend.
I'm already feeling stressed. Whew. It's so stressful. The play it safe approach last week is paying off for Coach LaFleur. News 3 Now's senior Packers writer Jason Wilde tells us more from Green Bay.
We have a great team of meteorologists, so I normally stay in my lane and talk Packers. But on Saturday night in Chicago, weather will be a factor for the NFC wildcard playoff game between the Packers and the Bears at Soldier Field. Right now, the weather forecast calls for temperatures in the mid to low 20s, potentially snow, and high winds again, which is what the Packers and Bears dealt with the last time they faced each other back on December 20th in Chicago. Matt LaFleur says that experience and the fact that we all live here means it shouldn't be a major detriment.
I mean, it can't be any windier than it was last time we were there. I mean, it was the one ball Jordan threw in the end zone took a right on him. So it is what it is, and you got to battle the elements, and we're definitely well versed in dealing with the elements. So I don't think it'll be advantage either way.
We'll have the weather and the football covered and everything else you need to get ready for the game on Saturday night, and coverage of the game live from Chicago at Soldier Field on our website, channel3000.com. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for our Packers newsletter, which delivers our coverage directly to your inbox every single day. In Green Bay at Lambeau Field, Jason Wilde, channel3000.com, and News 3 Now.
Thank you, Jason, and stay tuned to News 3 Now as we are bringing you team coverage from Chicago ahead of Saturday's game.
Next on Live at 4, it's been 1 year since a series of wildfires started in Los Angeles that killed at least 31 people. We'll tell you how the community is trying to recover.
Then consumer fraud has been consistently rising in the U.S. We'll have some tips on how to keep your accounts protected.
And Stranger Things has made its way to the most watched show in English on Netflix. Plus, a first look at Hugh Jackman's new film, The Death of Robin Hood.
Plus, Jacob has a complete look at the first warn forecast with some active weather systems heading our way.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
We're giving the weather satellite a spin. This is a live picture from Santa Cruz, California. Beautiful day there. 59 and mostly clear. This is the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. It's home to the oldest amusement park in the United States, which started in 1907, and the oldest ride there is the Loof Carousel.
I think that pops up in a lot of movies and TV shows.
It does, You're right, yeah.
Well, when fraudsters come calling, does your family have an action plan?
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger offers a short checklist for keeping your financial information in order and scammers at bay.
Over the past 5 years, losses from imposter scams targeting Americans 60 and older have skyrocketed. Instead of relying solely on expensive monitoring services, the single most effective defense against financial fraud is open, ongoing conversation within families, helping spot red flags before real damage is done. To get started, there are 3 critical questions every family should be able to answer. 1, do you know all your family members' account numbers and how to access them? 2, do you understand what property and investments your loved ones own and who the beneficiaries are? And 3, do you know where all household income is deposited? The next step is monitoring. You don't have to be a joint account owner. You just need to be listed as a trusted contact. This will allow the financial firm to alert you if they notice suspicious activity. As an added precaution, you can also ask to receive copies of statements. Finally, if you're concerned about identity theft, a credit freeze is your strongest tool. It restricts access to a credit file, making it harder for identity thieves to open new accounts in your loved one's name. You'll need to enact the freeze at all 3 major credit bureaus, online or by phone. Just remember, with a freeze in place, no new credit can be opened. So if your loved one is applying for a loan, you'll need to temporarily lift the freeze, then put it in place again once the process is complete. In New York, I'm CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
A year ago today, wildfires tore through Los Angeles, killing at least 31 people and destroying thousands of homes and businesses. The Eaton fire hit Altadena particularly hard, wiping out entire neighborhoods. Most properties remain unbuilt. For the Ben family, who lost their multi-generational home on East Los Flores Drive, music has become their path to healing.
I have not cried.
Why?
I guess it's because we lost everything, but we didn't lose each other.
That's pretty profound. Hundreds of Altadena families live in temporary housing but plan to rebuild rather than sell. Construction has begun on about 500 of the more than 16,000 structures destroyed. Only a handful of homes have been fully rebuilt.
Let's check back in now with Jacob for the latest on the weather, and it all is quiet right now, but the week is going to end a little busier, right?
Yeah, definitely enjoy the sunshine right now because it's not going to return, at least at the level it is right now, for the rest of the week. And obviously right now the sun is just about setting. Now, as we take a look at the three things you need to know, we're still going to see those temperatures in the 40s tomorrow, but we'll see plenty of rain in the afternoon and evening. And then the next system, which will come Saturday, that system could produce some snowfall accumulation. So let's take a look at the first system, which will move into our area tomorrow afternoon. The next several hours will feature clear skies for most of the area. Places off to the north will see a little bit more cloud cover, and then everyone will see the cloudy skies move back into the area for Thursday morning. Then Thursday afternoon, again, right around noon is when it will start. We'll see that rain move into our area, and rain could definitely be heavy at times with a few isolated thunderstorms possible. Pretty much no chance of severe weather, so that's not going to be a concern, but definitely could see a few rumbles of thunder with these passing heavy showers. And as we get towards the later evening hours, rain will break up a little bit. Still expect to see the chance of rain continue throughout the night. And then as we get later in the night and closer to Friday morning, looking off to the northwest, some of that rain may transition to snow. Now, right now, we're not expecting really much accumulation from this, maybe about an inch of wet snow. Shouldn't be too impactful. Some of that snow may fall at times in Dane County in southern Wisconsin, but nothing more than a quarter of an inch for far southern Wisconsin from this. It's mostly going to be rain. And then for Friday, we actually may see a little bit of sunshine at times with a dry period before that next system. But looking at the amount of rain that is expected from this system, we could be seeing upwards of an inch for some areas, especially further northwest. But even Madison surrounding areas are going to see about a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain. And we don't normally see rainfalls this heavy in January. Shouldn't be too concerned about flooding, but just be aware that there is plenty of rainfall in the forecast for tomorrow and into tomorrow evening. Looking at the alert day, though, that is for the next system where we are going to see the accumulating snowfall. Right now, we'll see anywhere from 1 to 3 inches for a lot of the area, but the potential for more is certainly there. Still a lot of uncertainty, but here's a look at what we're expecting for now. Again, Friday going to be pretty dry, maybe some sprinkles in the morning Friday, but then late Friday night into Saturday, that system will move in, bringing in that snowfall, and it will mostly be in the form of snow, especially for Madison and areas to the west and north. And the chance of snow will exist throughout the day and throughout the night as well for Saturday, finally clearing out by early Sunday morning. But again, or at least around 1 to 3 inches is expected, but we're still not too high a confidence in just in the extent of how much snow we're going to see, but definitely more than 3 inches will certainly be possible for some. Looks like the best chance will be for areas further off to the north. Now, as we take a full look at the 10-day forecast, the temperatures aren't going to be impacted too much by it. Upper 20s by Sunday, then back in the upper 30s for Monday and Tuesday. They will drop towards the end of the 10-day forecast, but obviously over a week away. Still a lot of uncertainty about that, but the next couple of days will still be on the milder side, even with that snowfall. With the coldest days for the next 7 days, really only going to talk about temperatures near average. Beyond Sunday, they're going to be above that normal.
Thanks, Jacob. When we come back, Stranger Things is making big moves on Netflix even after its finale. Then the so-called world's greatest talent competition is revived.
Watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
And now a look at news from the entertainment world.
Here's Douglas Hyde with the Hollywood Minute.
This is not over not by a long shot.
The end of Stranger Things has helped make it one of Netflix's most watched English language series ever. The hit show's 5th season drew more than 31 million views the week of its finale and has received more than 105 million total views and counting. Stranger Things now sits at number 9 on the all-time list.
I am the outlaw. Robin Hood.
A new trailer is giving us our first look at Hugh Jackman in The Death of Robin Hood. The Australian actor offers a gritty, violent take on the classic English thief. The new film shows Robin Hood coming to terms with his violent past and living long enough to see himself become a legend. The Death of Robin Hood hits screens this year.
Star Search, the world's greatest talent competition.
The talent judges for Netflix's Star Search revival have been revealed. Jelly Roll, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Chrissy Teigen are joining the reboot. The 5-week competition kicks off January 20th and will feature new episodes Tuesdays and Wednesdays. In Hollywood, I'm Douglas Hyde.
Well, the weather kind of qualifies for Stranger Things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty good right now at this point in time, but this time yesterday, it'll very, very likely be raining, and then at this point Saturday, it'll likely be snowing. So we're going to have some pretty active weather the next couple of days. The rain chance tomorrow is a lot higher than the heavy snow chance Saturday. The chance of snow Saturday doesn't look like it's going to be too heavy, but certainly some accumulations possible. That rain tomorrow evening, though, could produce up to an inch of just regular rainfall accumulation, and we don't normally see rainfall that heavy in January, so just be aware of that. Some very minor flooding concerns may exist, but beyond that, you know, it's not going to produce any severe weather, but there could still be some rumbles of thunder.
All right, Jacob, thank you. We'll be right back.
Coming up at 5, we're learning more about a developing situation out of Minneapolis where a woman was shot and killed by an ICE agent. And then we're breaking down the timeline of events in a new report from the Sun Prairie School District surrounding child sex crime allegations against a former staff member. Thanks for watching Live at 4 today. We'll see you back here tomorrow. You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+. News 3 Now at 5 starts next.